Van Ness neighborhood. So if you are familiar with this area, as for the exact time, we're not getting an exact time, but we do know it happened just after 3 o'clock this afternoon. And so new information indicates this large police presence is there on the ground because not only is it an active scene, but we still have a suspect that is on the run at this time. A manhunt ongoing as they try and find the person responsible for injuring at least 3 people during a shooting. And so again, a lot of information being dispersed on social media, and you're going to see some video on social media. I'm not going to play that for you because none of that is confirmed. So there are some videos surfacing where people are saying, hey, this is video of this active shooter situation that unfolded in DC. And so we're going to kind of steer away from that until we can get that video confirmed to play for you. But what you are seeing unfold right now is a scary situation. And this is something that law enforcement officers dread every single day. And so we have a lot of law enforcement officers that are there backing each officer up and kind of working together to put an end to this extremely active situation and active scene here. You can see multiple police cars kind of getting in front of the camera there with their lights on. United States Park Police is who that is. And it looks like we have some more tweets for you from social media as we continue to monitor it. Clay, do you want to mention what we're looking at here?
Yeah, we're looking at a tweet from the mayor of Washington, D.C. right now. MPD is responding to an active threat. Residents in the Cleveland Park and Van Ness area should shelter in place. And basically the mayor echoing what the D.C. Police Department is also mentioning on their Twitter page right now. Anyone with any information on this incident, any information at all, they're urging you to call the police department immediately and try to get some help there with that. We also do have a tweet from the University of DC.
Okay.
Just kind of issuing some of the same information, but a little bit more on the facts of focusing on the campus itself. The Van Ness campus is on lockdown right now. An active shooting incident near student housing located on Van Ness Street and Connecticut Avenue Northwest. They're just, again, reminding people that the suspect remains on the loose right now. Law enforcement is on the scene, and they're urging their students to take shelter and stay in a safe place until further notice.
All right, thank you for the update, Clay. And as we talk about the victims, I also want to mention again, if you're just joining us here on Local News Live, as we continue to follow along with this breaking news, 2 adult males were shot and 1 juvenile female. That's the information being released at this time. And as new information continues to unfold, I would like to mention here, as we were just talking about the videos surfacing on social media, according to the Associated Press, video posted on Twitter did actually capture the sound of burst of that rapid gunfire. So again, that's according to the Associated Press. And so we'll check out that video. And if we're able to play it for you, of course, you'll see it here on Local News Live. But again, we're going to make sure that's confirmed before we move forward with that. 3 people have been shot. An active threat underway at this time in a portion of Washington, D.C. It's in the northwest portion of Washington, D.C. in a neighborhood there. And you're seeing this neighborhood live on your screen right now. And you are seeing how extremely active this scene is because a manhunt currently happening for the person responsible for shooting 2 adult males and 1 juvenile female earlier today. And, there is a possibility that that number could increase. Right now, details extremely limited because, this is an ongoing active investigation. And so detectives are working through all the scenarios and situations, speaking to witnesses there, trying to get as much information as they can. So you're taking a live look here on the ground as we continue to follow along with the new information unfolding. But I also want to bring up this aerial view because I want to show you both situations, both views here. And so you're just seeing the massive law enforcement presence here. You see 3 ambulances. They've kind of lined up together, I was mentioning, but you can get a clearer view here. They've kind of lined up next to each other, just kind of blocking that roadway off. And we're seeing fire trucks kind of move along now in certain areas of the Van Ness neighborhood. And so that armored vehicle that you were seeing a close-up shot of earlier, it's kind of on the other side of the street, but you could see members, what appeared to be maybe tactical law enforcement officers, SWAT members, getting out of that armored vehicle and possibly making moves as this situation continues, and they continue to investigate and look for the person responsible for shooting at least 3 people today in Washington, D.C. So the University of the District of Columbia is nearby. If you're not familiar with this area, it's real close. It went into lockdown. It's still in lockdown at this time. And so the school did release information, as Clay showed us that tweet just a short time ago, telling students and staff, shelter in place, do not leave. And so the college said, of course, there was an active shooting incident. And they actually said it happened near student housing. And so right now, no indication that the suspect has been found. But of course, we know, and we can see here, we've seen the multiple law enforcement agencies. We're talking about local, state, and federal, all on the ground now, working to assist each other and help any of those victims that they are finding. Possibly more victims could come to light here, but they're also working together to find that suspect. So again, we're continuing to follow the story. As any new information is presented, we'll of course bring it to you live right here on Local News Live. But this is an extremely active scene, and right now we do know 3 victims have been injured. And so the D.C. Police Department, they're asking if anyone was in the area of this incident. If you have any information, they are asking you to call the D.C. Police Department. You can also just send a quick text. They're trying to get to all those witnesses. They're trying to interview them. They're trying to get information as to what unfolded. So a quick and easy way to get to the D.C. Police Department, they're saying, is, hey, send us a text. It's really simple. Tell us what you know. You can send us a text at 504-11. So some information there. As we continue to sort through social media, you're seeing that tweet here that they've sent out. If anyone in this area of this incident has any information, you can give us a call. That number on your screen, 202-727-9099, or simply send us a text. Again, 504-11. So thanks for that look, Clay. As we continue to follow along with this, it looks like Victoria Shirley has an update here. Victoria, what you got?
Yeah, so when I was making that map, I did notice that the address that the police are now saying is where they're focusing on is the Howard University School of Law. So I went to the Howard University Department of Public Safety, and here's one of the tweets that I can share with you here, if it's going to pop up for me. It says, the Metropolitan Police Department has initiated a lockdown order for West Campus as officials investigate reports of an active threat in the area. This was at 3:24, so not too long ago. And then they continued on to say all university students, faculties, and staff are required to station safely in rooms and facilities where they are currently located until an all-clear order has been issued through official university channels. This order does not apply to Main or Beltsville campuses. As you may know, that as we saw, this is their West Campus. Their law school is near here. And they said if you're scheduled to travel to the West Campus at this time, please do not go. You will not be able to access the West Campus until further notice. So that's an update there from the Howard University Department of Public Safety. As we had mentioned before, if we can pull up that map, there are several schools in the area, not just the Howard Law School, but there's also high schools in the area and the University of DC. And we can go through some of the other buildings that are nearby. Of course, near the Howard University School of Law, there's the Howard University Law Library, and there's several businesses around that area, highly populated, and right next to that building is a neighborhood and several embassies as well. If you're familiar with DC, you know that if you drive through this area, you'll see a constant flow of embassies, and that's where the officials from those countries work, and that's where the citizens of those countries go to get their paperwork done. So this is not an isolated area. There is several restaurants. There's a park nearby. You know, we heard from one resident who tweeted out that she was on her bike in a nearby park when she heard the shooting. And as you can see, tree-lined streets This is actually a very beautiful part of Washington, D.C., if you've ever been to that area.
Yeah, and a very scary situation, because you're thinking, you have, like, as you mentioned, so many students there on campus, as well as so many other governmental officials there that are just close by. What an extremely scary afternoon that unfolded in Washington, D.C. And also, Victoria, I want to mention, I'm seeing some new information here from the Associated Press. And, we were seeing that armored vehicle there. And so according to the Associated Press, police in tactical gear, who we did see here, we showed them to you live, they were seen escorting people out of an apartment building nearby here. And according to the AP, it says officer pointed their rifles upward toward other buildings and windows as the people moved quickly down the street with their hands raised above their heads. And we're also being told that at least one person was seen being led away by police in handcuffs. So again, this is some new information coming down from the Associated Press. And it looks like we're getting another live look here from the ground. So I'm going to pull this video in for you. And again,
while you're doing that, Jessica, while you're kind of working on the technical side of things, I do want to mention that, as we know, the University of the District of Columbia, when they did send out their tweet, they told their students and staff to shelter and stay in place. And they also mentioned, and this gives us some more context about this area, that the college, that the shooting happened near student housing.
Right.
So this is where a lot of students live. This is near a heavily residential area. This is near Embassies, and of course the Howard School of Law.
All right, what you got, Clay?
And just kind of piggybacking off of what you guys have been talking about, specifically with some of the embassies that are there, just to read you a couple of those that are kind of just a little bit west of this scene at Connecticut Avenue and Van Ness. At the Embassy of Egypt, Nigeria, Pakistan, Israel, Bangladesh, and Ethiopia, all of them are just west of where the active scene is right now. I mean, we're talking about a block.
Wow.
So it's very close here, all of those embassies to this scene.
And I'm not sure if you mentioned this already, but we do know now, thanks to the Associated Press, that the Secret Service is also helping the D.C. Capitol Police in searching for the suspect and searching the scene. All
right, so again, we have local, federal, state, so many law enforcement agencies there. We even saw members of the Park Service there working all in an effort to capture the suspect. And so, I'm going to move this aerial footage here, and I'm going to put it in a smaller camera here so you can see a better view from the scene and what we're seeing here. But it just looks extremely active, extremely hectic right now. And of course, so many roads in that area are blocked off at this time. But, as it looks like they're continuing to block up other portions of the roadway here. And of course, someone just stepped in front of the camera. So we'll take you back to the other vantage point here and the aerial view that we're seeing. But again, so many law enforcement officers working together, all in an effort to bring an ending to this extremely serious situation that has unfolded in D.C. 3 people shot. And if you are just joining us as we talk about this manhunt underway, I can't help but mention the victims here. We do know that at least 3 victims have been located, 2 adult males and 1 juvenile female. And so the information there on your screen, if you're following along with us here, residents are told to avoid the area, of course, and to shelter in place. So this is extremely active. This active threat continues, and residents are being asked not to leave. And so the location of the incident, 2900 block of Van Ness Street, and that's in the northwest area of Washington, D.C. And as we've been talking, if you've been following along with us here on Local News Live, embassies, schools, and just a neighborhood. I mean, an extremely busy part of Washington, D.C. And it looks like our photographer there from WJLA is working to get a better shot here. So we're going to bring up this aerial view. So if you are just joining us here on Local News Live, we're able to see this live aerial footage of this active threat and this shooting that unfolded in D.C., courtesy of WJLA. This is breaking news. We know right now there are at least 3 victims that have been injured in this shooting. You see a slew of law enforcement officers who are working together right now. Multiple streets blocked off, shelter in place ordered for numerous different areas. And we're also being told Secret Service is assisting, trying to find the suspect here. And so it looks like we're seeing, if you kind of look in the middle of your screen, you're seeing another look here at the armored vehicle. And I was just mentioning some of the information that the Associated Press had released. They said that police in tactical gear were seen escorting people out of an apartment building real close by. And they said officers pointed their rifles upward toward other buildings and windows as those people quickly moved down the street with their hands raised above their heads. And according to the Associated Press, at least one person was seen being led away by police in handcuffs, which is no indication that the suspect has been found. But again, just a little new element to the story as we continue to follow along with this breaking news in D.C. And so it looks like we have another shot up here from the ground, just a closer viewpoint as we continue to take a look at several different live feeds here, courtesy of WJLA out of Washington, D.C. And so you can see the lights and the police officers working there around the clock right now, just tirelessly trying to get an end to the situation that has unfolded in D.C. Do you have something, Clay?
Jessica, I just wanted to point out to everyone and, just kind of give you a chance to catch your breath a little bit too, get a little sip of water. But at the same time, just wanted to point out, it's been about 37 minutes since we've gotten a new update from DC Police, at least on social media. So we are continuing to closely watch those feeds. The last update they sent out was at 4:27 Eastern. And so, again, that's roughly about 38 minutes ago is when we got that last update from them. So we're continuing to scan for you, and we'll let you know as soon as we get any new updates from DC Police.
Yeah, and so Clay, if you kind of want to help me out here, what I'm seeing from the ground here, of course, this aerial view really kind of paints the picture as to what has unfolded here in Washington, D.C. But next to that, the smaller box here, if you're taking a look at your screen, I mean, it just looks like a sea of red and blue lights. We're seeing ambulances. We're seeing fire trucks. I mean, is there anything that I'm missing out here just kind of descriptive-wise as our viewers follow along with this active threat that's unfolded in Washington, D.C. today?
I mean, huge police response, as you mentioned, fire rescue. I know I've seen pictures of mass casualty units as well, kind of in the area there. So they are staged and ready to go to receive any victims that any more victims that they may find. Not that there are any, at least that we know of just yet, but at least so far, the police have located 3 victims there. But yeah, Jessica, an extremely active scene. We would urge people in the area to, of course, try to avoid that. Police are saying the same thing. They'll probably be rather stern with you if you approach the scene there. So I would avoid that area completely. They're also, of course, telling people that are trapped inside of that perimeter to shelter in place, stay where you are. And I'd probably say keep your head down, too.
And, they're still saying this active threat, and they're using the word active, this active threat has not been downgraded whatsoever since this coverage has started, and we've provided this live footage for you. And as Clay mentioned, it's been a while since we've gotten an update, but again, still extremely active, and this threat still exists right now. And so I know, obviously, a very scary situation for parents, as we have this school here and several schools there nearby, so many students. We're talking thousands of students, and what a scary situation as we continue to talk about really the facts, what we know right now. But you also have to think about the human side of it. I mean, we have so many parents at work, or we have visitors from out of town who are in DC, there for work, there for pleasure, and then you have your students. And so just a very scary situation for everyone involved. It looks like you have some more reaction from social media, Clay?
Right. I was just going to pull this tweet up kind of as you were talking about that human aspect of all of this. And, of course, this is an unconfirmed tweet, but this is a tweet that nonetheless was sent out by a potential witness there saying that they were in the Rock Creek Park area when he heard it happen. Automatic gunfire, around 20 to 24 rounds in 4 bursts, and they just added, again, that human element to it. I hope no one got killed. And, of course, that just kind of drives the point home there.
absolutely terrifying. And you can see the full force of law enforcement officers and, just working, which I'm sure right now, do we know who would have the lead on this investigation? They're not saying, obviously, but it did happen in D.C., possibly D.C. police. They're the ones who are tweeting out information. But how horrifying. And, this obviously is going to be a situation and an active investigation that continues on for quite some time. So there is a possibility that we could get new information. There could possibly be a press conference with officials later today, or there might not be. And so, Clay, I want to ask you also, do you mind pulling up, is there any new information from the mayor? Didn't you have a tweet from the mayor? Do you mind pulling it up?
We do have a tweet from the mayor, okay. And we can get that pulled up for you. I'll check to see if there's any new information coming from the mayor of D.C. there, but this is one of the latest tweets that we have. And of course, the mayor just saying that MPD is responding to an active threat. Residents in the Cleveland Park area and Van Ness should shelter in place, and offered the same information that the police department offered as far as trying to gather information. You can call the police department at 202-727-9099 if you have any information at all, or you can text them if that's easier for you at 50411. So that's kind of the information that the mayor offered. If you want, we can just run through a couple of tweets that we do have from some of the universities that are nearby.
Yeah,
as well.
Yeah, let's do that and kind of showcase just what's being shown on social media right now, just because we are seeing kind of a static shot of those live views there. So Howard University, Department of Public Safety, I'll let you take it away, Clay.
Sure, absolutely. And this is one of the tweets that we haven't shown so far from Howard, but you're looking at this tweet here. All university students, faculty, and staff are required to station safely in rooms and facilities where they are currently located until an all-clear order has been issued through official university channels. This order does not apply to the Main or Beltsville campuses, so at least those two campuses are okay. But the Van Ness campus is the one that they're talking about there. Also, here's another tweet. If you were scheduled to travel to the West Campus at this time, please do not. You will not be able to access the West Campus until further notice. A couple of tweets here.
While you're pulling that up, I was curious because obviously not everyone, a lot of people are familiar with Washington, D.C. and that area a lot, and then we have the others that aren't. And so I was just curious thinking, how far is this from the Capitol exactly? And so just for those of you that are wondering the same thing, because I have the question, I'm sure someone else does, this is actually about 7 miles northwest of the U.S. Capitol, so really about 35 minutes, because we know the traffic in D.C. awful. So again, this is quite a distance away from the U.S. Capitol. So I'll let you continue on with the tweets, but I just want to mention that because it just came to mind. I was thinking, is this close? Is it not close? But, as we continue to follow along with that reaction on social media, Clay, was there something else you had?
We do have a couple other tweets that we can show. This one is coming from a reporter there in D.C. And I believe this is actually a radio station, I believe. And so, but again, taking pictures from the scene, and as mentioned, the mass casualty unit there on the scene. So they are prepared for an elevated response if they need it there. The ATF is also chiming in, just again, saying that the ATF Washington is responding to assist DC police. So we've added yet another channel of investigations there, or agency, I should say.
Yeah, just another, and I mean, of course you're in D.C., the home of so many headquarters. So there's, as we mentioned, local, state, federal. I mean, I can bet it's going to be a long list of federal agents as well as state and local that are there to assist. And it looks like the camera's kind of zooming in a little bit. I was just trying to see if we saw any new movement here. But right now, the information remains the same. So we'll kind of take it from the top, Clay. Anything you want to add in here? If you are just joining us on Local News Live, I'm Jessica Bowman along with Clay Osterly, Victoria Shirley, as we continue to follow along with breaking news out of Washington, D.C. A shooting happened this afternoon just after 3 o'clock. Right now, what we can tell you, 3 people have been injured in this shooting, and an active manhunt is underway at this time. As for the victims, it is confirmed by the D.C. Police Department that 2 of those victims are adult adult males, and the third victim is a juvenile female. And so you're taking a live look at your screen right now, an aerial view courtesy of WJLA. Many schools and embassies in the Van Ness neighborhood where this unfolded. This is in the northwest portion in a neighborhood of Washington, D.C. On the other side of your screen, you're seeing a live look from the ground. You're seeing the massive law enforcement present there in the Van Ness neighborhood. Also, not only is this an active threat, not only is there an active manhunt underway, not only are there at least 3 victims, but there is still an active threat situation unfolding here. We have learned that multiple law enforcement agencies have come together right now, and they are still working to possibly find any victims, to possibly find any more witnesses that saw what unfolded on this Friday in Washington, D.C. And so you can see the aerial view. You can see the camera kind of panning to what appears to be, again, I want to mention what appears to be some student housing, because we say that because we have learned that one of the schools did release some information, the University of D.C. They released some information on social media saying that the active threat and shooting incident happened near student housing. A shelter in place happening right now. Students, faculty, staff, local people in this neighborhood being told to shelter in place, to not leave. And this active threat has not decreased whatsoever since we began covering this. And it looks like the photographer here in the chopper is kind of panning the camera and taking us away from the aerial view. So we're gonna take you back to the ground here until that live look hopefully comes back. And it looks like this camera is kind of getting situated just to give us another vantage point here, but we're seeing DC Fire and EMS, mass casualty unit, armored vehicles, of course, patrol vehicles, so many different law enforcement agencies on scene. And as we know, at least 3 victims have been shot after this shooting unfolded. If you have any information, DC Police saying, give us a call. We want to hear from you. If you have any information, 202-727-9099, or they say it's really easy. Send us a text, and that text is 50411. And again, they're asking anyone with information about this shooting that unfolded Friday in the Van Ness neighborhood. They're asking for help. They're asking for what you saw, or maybe what you, any information that you may have. So again, it looks like we're kind of losing the live footage here, but as we continue to follow along with this, I just want to keep the camera here just in case, because this photographer kind of been shifting around. There we go. All right, man. I mean, you just see, just take a look. An extremely active scene right now in the northwest neighborhood, Van Ness in Washington, D.C. An absolutely scary situation, an active shooter. This happened today in a neighborhood that is extremely busy, filled with so many students, many embassies nearby, and just a very populated neighborhood and area here in Washington, D.C. 3 victims were shot, injured when this gunfire erupted. And we know right now there's been no new information that has come in that has indicated that they have a suspect in custody. And we've been kind of following along with different information. It looks like Victoria Shirley, who's joining us here on Local News Live, she has some new information. Victoria, what you got?
Yeah, so I just wanted to show you a new picture that the Associated Press has recently provided to us.
Oh, wow.
So this is police evacuating people near the scene of a shooting that happened in northwest Washington. And again, police are saying that at least 3 people were injured in that shooting. And city officials are warning people in the area to stay inside because of an active threat. And they say, of course, dozens of law enforcement officers responded to this scene. In this picture, it looks like, at least from the onset of looking at it, it looks like these officers are kind of helping shepherd residents maybe back to somewhere safe, because they really are encouraging people not to be out in the open right now. And you know, as Clay had mentioned not too long ago, the last update we got was, 45 minutes ago, I believe. Let me double check for you.
Yeah, and while you're looking at that, if you're not taking a look at your screen right now and you're following along with this breaking news coverage, I want you to stop what you're doing and just take a look at this picture. You can just see the horror on these people's faces. And first responders, law enforcement officers, you know, they protect and serve each and every single day, and they really do put their life on the line to help innocent people people like you're seeing in this photo captured by the Associated Press to get them to safety. And it just, you know, we can see this active scene, we can see the ambulances, we can see the first responders there, but really when you see the faces of innocent people being rescued by police, it just really brings chills to your body, just knowing that you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm working to actually pull some more photos because we have a few more available to us. So I'm going to work on pulling that up. But yeah, the last update that we received from the DC Police, at least on Twitter, and Twitter, they have posted on Facebook, the DC Police Department, that they are using Twitter as their main channel to release information. The last update came out about 51 minutes ago. And all of the other agencies that have responded have just been retweeting the Washington, D.C. Police Department. So we do know that they are in charge of that information outflow at this time. Okay,
I gotcha. And so also, I was looking on CNN to see if they had posted any video. Victoria, are you seeing any video that CNN has posted? I don't mean to cut you off guard, just in case. I was going to pull some of that in.
Let me see. It looks like all CNN is offering at this time are those live feeds that we're able to share with you. But if anything comes down the pipeline, I will pull it for you and we'll be able to share it with our viewers here.
Yeah, and so I know a lot of video is surfacing, as we mentioned, we were talking about that earlier, on social media. And so we'll kind of wait to share that with you until it is confirmed there. So again, you're seeing a live view right now from this active scene. And so this is right now continues to be an active threat. And so again, a lot of details just really limited at this time as still the ongoing investigation continues. And a suspect is, at last check, the information that we have received, the suspect is still on the run. So it looks like we have a little bit of some more information that we're going to share with you on your screen here. So you can take a look, follow along with this after the shooting has unfolded in D.C. And right now, no word on the condition of any three of the victims. That information has not been released. All we know at this time is that as of right now, there are 3 victims, 2 adult males, 1 juvenile female. We do know that they were injured during the shooting, but as it relates to their injuries and their conditions, it's not being released at this time. But this is being called an active threat. And, you know, as we take a look at this live scene here in the Van Ness neighborhood, I also want to mention we're seeing several armored vehicles that have kind of made a loop around several different areas here in this neighborhood. And I mentioned that just because if you are just joining us, we just saw the picture from the Associated Press of law enforcement officers, what appeared to be kind of getting innocent people to safety. But also want to mention police in tactical gear were seen escorting even more people out of an apartment building nearby here just a short time ago. And some of the reporters from the Associated Press on scene said that officers actually pointed their rifles towards several other buildings and windows as the people moved quickly down the street, and they had their hands up. And so at least one person was seen being led away by police officers in handcuffs. And also, you know, in case you are just joining us here on Local News Live, I would also like to mention we've been following along with the different universities in that area because there are several different schools. And University of DC, they sent out information on social media, of course, telling students, faculty, and staff shelter in place, do not leave. But also, they said that there was an active shooter situation that had unfolded near student housing. So just really another key element to this breaking news story that we are continuing to follow right here on Local News Live. So 3 victims, again, 2 men, 1 juvenile female that we have learned about here. And so at this time, it's not been indicated that there are any more victims. But as we know, of course, that could all change when we get new information from the DC police. And it's not only the DC police that are there. We have seen numerous agencies on scene assisting DC police after this active shooter situation unfolded. And again, this is not only an active shooter situation that has unfolded, it's also an active threat that's happening right now. And Clay Osterly, joining me here at Local News Live, has some new information. Looks like some more reaction on social media. Clay, what you got?
So this is a new tweet from a different Twitter handle, but it is the DC Police Department still. This is the traffic division of DC Police. just throwing in some of the closures that have been implemented there. And they are saying until further notice, Connecticut Avenue Northwest between Sedgwick and Yuma Street. It says Tilden Street between Reno and 29th Street Northwest, and Van Ness Street at Connecticut Avenue. And it's not showing up on the screen, but there's a little bit more to that tweet. I guess the graphic ran out of space. Just saying to watch for authorities' directions. Closures are subject to change. So it's likely that even some more roads have been added to that closure. But just a little bit of information that we haven't shared so far. So if you're familiar with the area, those are some of the spots that you want to avoid at this time.
Yeah, and so for any of you watching that are really not too familiar with the D.C. area, this is, again, 7, almost 8 miles away from the actual U.S. Capitol. So obviously one of the biggest landmarks, and that's why I'm referencing that. And this neighborhood, the Van Ness Street Northwest there, again, about 7.5 miles northwest of the United States Capitol. So again, that just kind of gives you a location of as to where this active threat is unfolding here, and the suspect remains at large at this time. Again, a very active manhunt underway for the person responsible for opening fire in this Northwest DC neighborhood just after 3 this afternoon there in DC. So as we continue to follow along, I was trying to update here. It looks like I thought the DC police had sent out a new tweet, but it looks like I was mistaken. Oh, no, I wasn't mistaken, actually. It looks like a media briefing will be held at 5:30 p.m. at Connecticut Avenue and Porter Street Northwest. And so according to the DC Police Department, it says the briefing will be live streamed from their Twitter account. So again, some new information coming in, and this is the first update that we've received in almost an hour. So we are expected to learn new information. So that's coming in a couple of minutes. Is it 5:30 right now in DC?
It's about 5:26.
All right, so we should be getting some new information coming in very quickly. Victoria, did you have something else?
Yeah, so I wanted to mention that the FBI Washington field office, they are joining the amount of law enforcement that are kind of pitching in to help out with this investigation. They tweeted out that the FBI Washington field office is providing assistance to the DC Police Department in response to the shootings in the 4100 block of the Connecticut Avenue Northwest. The situation is ongoing, and the FBI will provide appropriate personnel and resources as requested and needed.
Very interesting. And so I'm wondering, so when the FBI gets involved, I mean, this possibly could mean that, again, that the suspect has still not been found, and they're just needing more resources to help kind of comb the neighborhood, comb those. And, you know, we were talking about this being such a populated area. So many apartment buildings there. And so there, again, a very large area that needs to be combed here. And so I was trying to see if we were getting any new video coming in live feeds here. I thought I saw something pop up, but it looks like it's not there. It looks like it's the same feed that we're seeing here. So, wow. Again, Victoria, following along with new information coming in on social media. So what else you got?
Yeah, so we shared with you some new pictures that the AP have dropped in for us to use. So I wanted to show you, we already showed you this one picture here of what it looks like the police helping residents along crossing the street. Here's another picture of just the sheer amount of officers. Looks like they're definitely moving quickly in this photo. And then here's another picture of an officer with a serious-looking rifle hiding behind several cars, aiming at something off-screen that we can't see. So those are some pictures coming down. I'm continuing to search our different sources we have available to us to pull video and pictures that we can share with you. But we do know, again, Jessica, like you had mentioned, we do know now that in about 2 minutes, we will get our first official flow of information, at least verbally and not through Twitter. So we are looking forward to gleaning any new information that might be available to us here in just a couple of minutes.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing those pictures again from the AP, because I really feel like, you know, again, we see this active scene, you know, we're continuing to follow along with this live look, but just really really seeing a close-up image of what has unfolded earlier today. Just a really scary situation there. All right, so it looks like we're losing that live feed here from D.C. I'm Jessica Bowman along with Clay Osterly, Victoria Shirley. It looks like we just got it back. Great news here, because I was going to mention while we were watching those pictures, I was seeing what appeared to be possibly like a command staff kind of walking through the street, a large number of what looked like officials. So it looks like they're walking to that press conference here that they are about to have. And I'm refreshing our social media pages here because, again, they are going to stream this on social media. And so I want to be able to share that with you as soon as it begins. Also, I'd like to mention just some new information coming in. Did you have something, Clay, before I got to this?
I do have a new tweet from DC.
Okay, that's what I just saw too. Yeah, go for it.
So I'll pop that up on the screen and we can get that there for you. So here's the latest. They are saying there is an established family reunification site located 3310 Connecticut Avenue Northwest. That is the Cleveland Park Library. They're saying if you are looking to find a family member child, please go to this location, speak with the officials from MPD and assisting DC government agencies. So again, DC Police has established a family reunification site at the Cleveland Park Library.
Yeah, that was extremely important information because, you know, as we were just talking earlier, for so many parents, because so many students in that area, absolutely horrifying to know that your child is there. So again, DC Police Department has established this reunification site on Connecticut Avenue. And also, as we take a look at this live shot, it looks like the podium is now set, and we are just awaiting for officials to step to that podium for this press conference. Again, you are watching Local News Live as we continue to follow along with live coverage happening right now in D.C. An active threat underway as there was a shooting earlier today in the northwest neighborhood of Van Ness in Washington, D.C. 3 victims injured in this shooting, 2 men, 1 juvenile female. And what we can tell you right now is a manhunt is underway for the person responsible. So again, you're taking a live look here. You can kind of see, and I'll make it a little clearer here, hopefully for you, so you can see the full vantage point here that I'm seeing on my end. But you can see the microphones are set there on the podium, and if you kind of look off in the distance, now the camera's zooming in, you can see what appears to be members of law enforcement command staff walking to that podium. This live press conference about to unfold here in Washington, D.C. after an active threat continues right now. We have got no update that this active threat has been diminished. So again, we have an active threat in D.C. after an active shooter situation unfolded in the Van Ness neighborhood. That's the northwest neighborhood there in Washington, D.C. 3 people injured in this shooting and a suspect still wanted. So that's the information we have for you. I'm going to turn up the sound because it looks like they're getting close to the podium. I do not want to miss any information that is released during this press conference. So we're going to kind of turn it up together and take a live listen in. And you can hear the chopper from above. They've been flying continuously, helping in this situation. All right, let's take a live listen in.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Assistant Chief Stuart Emmerman of the Metropolitan Police Department. At approximately 3:20 this afternoon, members of the Metropolitan Police Department responded to the area of Connecticut Avenue and Van Ness Street Northwest for the reported sounds of gunshots. Upon their arrival at that scene, the officers located 3 individuals who were suffering from gunshot wounds. All 3 individuals have been taken to area hospitals where they are currently being treated. 2 of the individuals are adults and are considered in stable condition based on their injuries. The 3rd victim is a juvenile, and that juvenile is also in stable condition with a minor gunshot wound. At this time, our units are currently in the area of Connecticut and Van Ness conducting a search for a suspect or suspects. That is still to be determined as our investigation is continuing this time. We're asking the public to stay away from this area as we continue to do our search and continue our investigation. This is a very early point in our investigation, and we're still trying to figure out the motive or what specifically took place here. Are there any questions? I don't have information on that at this time to give it. At this point, we do not have any suspects in custody. We're interviewing several witnesses. As would naturally happen during an incident like this, several individuals ran from the area. So we did stop several individuals to conduct witness investigations with them. But that's what is, I think, being reported as suspects. Those are people we're interviewing from the scene. As we conduct our investigation, if they are not linked to the incident, yes, they will be released. That is still to be determined at this time, but no members of the Metropolitan Police Department that responded or of our partner agencies that responded have been injured during the course of this incident. There is information out there on social media. However, we have not been able to authenticate that at this time to determine whether that is even related to our incident. I'm sorry. None of the responding members from our law enforcement agency and partners that were on the scene here have been injured as a result. That is still to be determined. They're in the hospital being treated right now at this time. We are still trying to determine that. I'm sorry? Is what related? I'm sorry. Oh, the victims? That we are still trying to determine as well at this time. As I said, this investigation is still very much in its early stages. Well, I would say based upon the calls that we got and the information and the fluid nature of this investigation, an appropriate response came to this area to make sure that we've locked down the neighborhood, we've made sure that folks up here are safe and sheltering, and we're continuing to do a very thorough search. As you know, some of these buildings are very large. They've taken some time for us to go through, especially based on the information that we had at the beginning of this investigation. So we're getting assistance right now from the United States Park Police, United States Secret Service Uniform Division. We've got assistance here from the University of District Columbia Police. We also have some of our federal entities from ATF, FBI, and there are several others who are trying to assist us in this. We don't know that answer at this time. We're still trying to authenticate that video. No, at this time we believe we have one location. So I don't have that information this time because, as naturally happens after individuals were shot, some of them moved to different locations where we encountered them. So we're still piecing all that together as part of our investigation. There are several apartment buildings in that area. As part of our investigation, we are canvassing and searching all of those areas. We're still trying to determine that. Not that I'm aware of. There are embassies in the immediate area, so we are working with our partners from the U.S. Secret Service Uniform Division to make proper notifications to them as well. Yes. Yes, at this time, please, we're asking if you are residing in this area to please shelter in place. Please stand by until we render the area clear and safe. If you do have information, we're asking you to call our Command Information Center at 202-727-9099, or you can text us at 50411, any information that you may have. We're still trying to determine that. This investigation is still, like say, we're in its early stages. We're going to be investigating all angles of that. Everybody at this point is stable. I believe 2 of them are critical but stable. Is my hope and understanding that they will, but they are critical but stable. Oh yes, there is. So there is a school up in the area, Van Ness and Connecticut. That school immediately went into a lockdown. Their students are inside the building at this point until we determine that the area is safe for them to leave. We have police officers inside the school with them. As soon as we have it situated that it is safe for them, we will make sure that the school system is notifying the parents of a reunification center where we can get them safely to reunite with their children. But we're asking the parents not to come up here to the school at this time. The children are all in the school, safe with the officers that are in there.
Chief, with the helicopter going overhead, can you take us from the top here? What did you guys have happen here so we can all hear it, make sure that we're clear about what happened?
Sure. Correct. That is all stuff that we are working on right now. As you know, we do believe that there are some vehicles on the scene that were damaged as a result of the shooting, so that's part of our investigation to determine if that was in fact part of this. Yes. So again, to recap, at about 3:20, members of the Metropolitan Police Department responded to the area of Van Ness in Connecticut in regards to the sounds of gunshots, where we located 3 shooting victims, 2 adults who are in critical but stable condition at our area hospitals, and a third, which was a juvenile who is stable with a minor gunshot wound, also being treated at an area hospital. We do not know any relationships at this point between any of these 3. We are currently continuing to search the area, and we have it locked down at this point as we're looking for any suspect or suspects. We do not have a motive at this time. We do not know the full details of what took place, but we continue to ask the public to just steer clear of the area as we continue to investigate. We're still trying to figure that out. We believe it was in the immediate area.
From the initial reports about why law enforcement responded, did they have an indication of what type of weapon was used based off the sound?
No, unfortunately, I don't have that information yet. So as I stated earlier, several people naturally ran from the scene of hearing gunshots, and as the officers responded very quickly to the scene, as individuals were running, we did detain several individuals to determine their status, whether or not they were suspects or witnesses. But at this time, I do not believe that we have any suspects at this time detained, and we're continuing our investigation. We're still exploring all our theories, but right now we are concentrating on in the immediate area to make sure that we've rendered this area safe for the public as well as everybody who's out here.
Are your people going door to door?
We are in several buildings doing door-to-door sweeps right now.
Tall guy, short guy?
We do not have any description at this time that I can put out.
How do you kind of know what to look for in the building?
That's part of the reason why we're doing a very thorough sweep.
Any surveillance video you're looking at?
We're still working on pulling videos to help our investigation.
There's a little loud when he asked about that streaming thing. Looks like you were saying the shooter streamed his video.
So there is a social media video that is out, but we have not yet been able to authenticate that that's even this scene, that's even today, or that's even here in the United States. We're still working on that.
Mayor, your thoughts, concerns?
Well, first of all, I want to thank all of our first responders, the Metropolitan Police Department, Fire and EMS, all of our federal partners who are on this scene, who are responding and looking for the person responsible for this shooting. We have 3 of our residents who have been injured, and we are praying for their health and well-being. We understand 2 are in stable condition and that there was a minor gunshot wound to a child. And so we're very focused on that. We're asking all of our residents to follow law enforcement instructions, stay in your homes, shelter in place until the police are able to release these scenes and safely really dig into this investigation close to where the shootings happened.
One more question.
Last question, please.
The initial reports of when the victims were discovered, were there any reports of good Samaritans stopping bleeding, anyone jumping into action before paramedics arrived?
I have heard that. I have not been able to confirm that yet, though. There's one school there. There's, I believe, another school in the area that may have had some individuals in that ran towards it. I believe that they were not affected. The adults, one is a male, one is a female. Correct. Multiple shots. We do not have that information yet.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll circle back to you. We'll circle back. Thank you.
All right, so if you are just joining us here on Local News Live, we were continuing to follow along with breaking news right now out of Washington, D.C. We're going to continue to show you this live look as we talk more about what was just unfolded during that press conference by the chief from the Metropolitan Police Department as well as the D.C. mayor. Right now, an active threat and an active manhunt remains. This is what is happening right now, and there is no description of a suspect that police can give at this time. But the Metropolitan Police chief says right now we are going door to door. We are canvassing this area, and we are working on pulling videos from this neighborhood. So as we talk about the three victims, those three victims do have gunshot wounds. They are being treated at a local hospital. We have learned that the two adults shot during the shooting are in critical but stable condition. Now, the third victim is a juvenile female, and the chief says she has a minor gunshot wound and is in stable condition. And so I also would like to mention the Metropolitan Police. He said, the police chief there said, right now we are looking for a suspect or suspects. Right now it remains unknown how many people fired shots this afternoon in this Northwest subdivision neighborhood there in Washington, D.C. But police are saying this is an active threat. The public needs to stay away as we continue this investigation. And right now we're still trying to figure out a motive and determine what unfolded, what happened during this active shooting situation earlier today. Right now, witnesses are being interviewed. And also you heard the chief say when gunfire went off, several witnesses ran from the scene. And so he said some people are being detained, but they're witnesses. They're being questioned as to what they saw. As you mentioned, obviously an extremely horrific, scary situation when that happened and people began to run. So many partners have responded to the scene, and we have been talking about this all throughout the afternoon, and you're seeing that live look right here. A number of law enforcement agencies, we're talking local, state, federal. And so also I wanted to mention no responding members who have assisted in this active threat, whether it be Metropolitan Police, ATF, FBI, no partners have been injured as they have responded to this active shooting situation. And so as for the victims, I also want to mention in here, it was asked, are the victims related? Right now that information is unknown because it still is an extremely, as you can see, active situation, active investigation. It's ongoing in details still. They're trying to figure it out. The Secret Service is assisting as well, and that is because, as you've heard Victoria Shirley, Clay Osterly, and myself mention, the Secret Service is assisting, but that is because so many embassies are around. And Clay listed off so many embassies that are really there close within the vicinity. So that's why the Secret Service is there assisting. And so also they did mention they do believe at this time, again, this is early on in the investigation, but they do believe there's only one location where the shooting happened. They do not believe at this time that there are multiple locations. And so there is also, we've mentioned these schools. We've seen some tweets and social media posts from area schools, but there is a school close right there to Connecticut Avenue in the Van Ness neighborhood, and that school currently still on lockdown. They went into lockdown immediately when shots began to fire. And so students, faculty, and staff inside that school are still on lockdown. Police are inside the school with them, and police are saying parents do not come here right now. When the area is safe, when it's clear, when we deem that it's appropriate for these students to be released from school, we're going to release more information. And of course, we also mentioned earlier the DC police updating through Twitter. That is the social media platform that they are choosing to use to give updates and provide new information to people in that area. And just a quick little note, yes, some vehicles that were parked on the side of the road were damaged when gunfire opened up earlier today in D.C. It happened just after 3:20. No motive at this time. No description of the suspect right now. Again, an active manhunt underway after 3 people were shot today on the Northwest neighborhood there, Van Ness, in Washington, D.C. And I'm joined with Victoria Shirley here as we continue to follow along with this breaking news. Victoria, am I missing anything? Anything else you want to add?
I did want to mention that they were questioned about the response. As you can see on your screen, there are so many fire trucks. There are so many law enforcement. We know the FBI, the ATF. We know the Secret Service. We know several law enforcement agencies are here assisting with this shooting. And someone from one of the media organizations there asked if this was the appropriate response to 3 people being shot. And they said, quote, "This was the appropriate response. Came to the area to lock down the area and get residents to shelter in place." So they believe at this time that this amount of law enforcement and different agencies that have responded is the appropriate response. But yeah, Jessica, a lot of the questions couldn't be answered because they said that at this time, it is so early in this investigation that they're still pulling video. They're going door to door, doing door to door sweeps. And at this time, those 2 adults still in critical but stable condition with the juvenile with a minor gunshot wound.
Yeah, and Victoria, I want to mention we just got some new video in courtesy of WJLA. And so you're seeing one of the armored vehicles there, but kind of a side view, I guess, that we're seeing from the extremely active scene, but just another vantage point here. And you know, as we talk about this during that press conference, and we were, you know, talking about this a little earlier, this is a highly populated area, so many buildings that are huge. And so the police chief, Metropolitan Police Chief, mentioning, you know, they have a lot to canvas right now. And so we will, of course, continue to follow along with any new information coming in. You did hear from the D.C. mayor as well. And she said, you know, we're praying for the victims. If you have any information, please give it to the Metropolitan Police. And they did issue the way that you can contact them. If you were in the area, if you're a witness, if you're seeing this right now, if you have any information, D.C. Police asking you to contact them. You can give them a call. You can also send them a quick text. That text, 50411, easy to do. If you have any information and you want to call them, the number on your screen, 202-727-9099. And police say when new information becomes available and they can release it to the public, they will be sure to update. So are we going to end the social media post, or are we going to continue on for a little while, Victoria? What?
Yeah, I think at this point we have all the information we're going to know for now, but we will continue. We are on air until midnight tonight. So if we see another press conference or any new information flowing in, we will go live on social media. But of course, if you want to continue following us off of Facebook, you can do so by going to your favorite Gray Television website, clicking the Watch Live button, or anywhere that station is streaming. You can see us when that station is not in a newscast.
Absolutely. And thank you for that, Victoria. Again, live coverage, breaking news out of D.C. today after an active shooter situation. Well, I'm gonna stop it real quick before we leave you. It looks like we have some new video in, and you can see police officers walking with a group of people here, some of them with their hands up, and it looks like police officers are trying to get those individuals to safety. Wow, this is some powerful video here that we're seeing. I'm going to see if there's any audio with this. It looks like there is not. But again, this is some of the stuff that we were talking about with the Associated Press, Victoria.
Yeah, let's pull this up full screen because these look like what could be students. There are, you know, a couple universities in the area. And I mean, that one individual with the blue shirt looks like he's wearing a backpack, and they look absolutely terrified with their hands up. That the girl holding up her phone looks petrified. And, you know, a student that walks those sidewalks every day, seeing it being taken over by law enforcement, I mean, that is just a chilling sight.
I mean, it's chilling just sitting here watching it. I mean, I can't imagine being in that situation. So many people impacted today. And, you know, we were just talking about that earlier. We were reading what was being released by the Associated Press and by D.C. Police, but now we're actually seeing it again, law enforcement officers and some of those AP pictures that we were showing you. Law enforcement officers, what appears to be getting innocent people to safety as this active shooter situation has unfolded in D.C. And it looks like this is going to be the scene for quite some time today, because we have seen no indication that the massive law enforcement presence, which I'll bring that video up for you as well so you can see both shots, because it looks like right now we're able to see both views here. But it looks like no one is going away anytime soon. And this is what we've been seeing since just after 3 o'clock there. And so I just wanted to stick with this video just a minute or so more just to see if we were able to see any other live footage here that, you know, this is capturing the attention of Americans. A very scary situation, and a manhunt is still underway, an active threat still happening right now. And so you were just able to see law enforcement officers, again, what appeared to be getting residents, what, you know, Victoria mentioned, it looked like students. It looked like one person did have a backpack, and they did look fairly young there. And so any new information coming in, of course, we will bring that to you right here on Local News Live. I'm Jessica Bowman, joined with Victoria Shirley as we continue to follow along with this breaking news situation out of Washington, D.C., out of the Van Ness neighborhood. This is Northwest Washington. This is about 7 miles northwest of the United States Capitol. 3 people have been injured. They were shot today after someone opened fire just after 3 o'clock this afternoon. And we have learned that 2 adults that were shot are in critical yet stable condition. A 3rd victim, a juvenile female, did receive a gunshot wound, and police say she is in stable condition. All right, it looks like the live shots are going to continue to be the same. So as Victoria mentioned, we are going to end this social media post. But of course, any new information coming in, we will provide that for you.